Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
What is up? Glad you could join us again. Couple days late, but hope everybody had a great holiday. I'm Sean Baligian, of course, with my buddy Mike Ivesel, and we are going to be doing this all summer long and even into the fall, talking about some of the great things that are going on all over the great state of Michigan with the Michigan high school product. Can't thank our friends with the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association for making this possible, talking about the proven path, talking about, some of the teams that have been, putting guys out there for many years and some of the teams that are on the rise, to be sure. This one certainly near and dear to my heart. Kindly joining us, the head coach and my cousin. I always got to get that out of the way before we start. Okay. St. Clair Shores Unified, Coach Nick Radjewski, kindly joining us on the show. Nick, always a pleasure. I hope you guys had a great 4th of July. How are you, bud?
Likewise. Yeah, great 4th. Nice to see you guys, Mike. Nice to meet you. Actually, get to do it in person. I look forward to doing that soon here.
Absolutely. See you at the rink soon, hopefully, right?
Absolutely, yeah, right. Whether we like it or not, right?
Well, Nick, it's funny. We go through the same thing. Mike and I were talking about this last month. It's like when the season's over, you kind of sit back and go, okay, it's over. Oh, I can take a breath now. And then after a couple of weeks, I'm sitting back going, okay, so when does the season start again? I need something to do on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, or whatever the case may be.
It's crazy. Yeah.
No, hey, listen, you know this better than anybody. I mean, the people out there that think that this is just like a first week of November to, whenever your season ends in the playoff, whether it be February or into March, they really don't know what they're talking about. This gig really is all consuming for each and every coach out there.
I would say, and I'm certainly, there's no way I'm in the minority here, but I don't think I've gone a day, and I can't remember the last time where I haven't had a text or an email, something high school hockey related come across, whether it was from a parent, a player, another coach, it's stuff, it happens all year long. You just have to keep on it. And the truth of it is, the sport, hockey's become like a year-round sport for a lot of people, whether you like that or not, but it is the reality of it now. And so we want the better kids to come and play for us with the high school, because I believe our product is superior to anything else they could get at their age group. So if you don't have something in place for them to do during spring, during summer, during fall, they will go somewhere where they can find that stuff. And so you have to keep them, we have to stay at work. We have to, and it's a tricky balance sometimes between making sure that they get time to be a kid and they get time off and they get time to rest mentally as much as physically, but then also giving them just the right amount. And it's we play with it every year. What is the right amount in the off season? What is too much? What is not enough? So it's a constant challenge, constantly evolving.
All right, Nick, the purpose that we got this podcast together was to talk about the proven pathway. And I've been asking the coaches too, what was your pathway? How did you get to coaching and why St. Clair Shores?
That's a good question. I think everybody who's played, the one thing that you miss, no matter what level that you get to, is you miss being around a team. And when your playing career is over, whether you've made it all the way to the NHL or you just played youth hockey or you played college, junior, somewhere in the middle, at some point it ends and all of us end up playing beer leagues. And it just doesn't scratch the itch, the same way, you miss being a part of the team. And so I was young, I was only 22. And my old coach, he had a younger son still who was still playing and he needed help. And so that's the first team I started helping as an assistant coach. They were midget travel kids, probably 2002, 2003, was the first year I started. And then from there, you just slowly but surely, you meet people and you become friends with people and you network. And ironically, that coach, his wife was the secretary at the school who I coach at now. Back in 2013, they needed a coach and they reached out to myself and Keith Knight, who Keith and I were coaching together for a long time. He just passed a couple of years ago. He was Romeo's coach when he passed. So Nighter and I said, hey, let's give it a shot. We were kind of burnt out of the travel AAA thing. And so Keith was the head coach for 5 years before he left for Romeo. And here I am now going on year 8 for myself. So crazy how it goes.
Absolutely.
Nick Radjewski kindly joining us, of course, the head man at St. Clair Shores Unified, a team that certainly took a big step last year. And I think, Nick, it's safe to say one of the things that I love about this level is you guys don't just talk about your team. You talk about the teams in your area. I think it's safe to say your conference took a pretty big step last year as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think so. I think like in the big picture with across Michigan, District 3, which is Macomb County, when Maha divvies the state up, we have lagged behind everybody else as far as our kids on this side of town going to play high school hockey. We were the last sort of holdout for tier 2, and there's still like a fair amount of kids in this area that are still like pursuing tier 1 stuff, which whatever. Everybody's path is a little bit differently, but over the last 3 or 4 years, like all of the schools within the MAC have been doing a better job of pulling their better kids into the high school programs. And I feel like we've been kind of under the radar for a little while, but like I look at my team right now, which will be one of the better ones we've ever had since I've been there. And if we would have had this talent level 8 years ago, you know what I mean? We're a 23, 24 win team. And now the conference is so good and everywhere else in the state is so good that like we are going to be able to compete, but like a far cry from being, like an undefeated team. And so some of the teams around here, like Anchor Bay, they return almost their entire team from last year. They're going to be a good team again. Lance Cruz, Unified, we're in a division with them in Anchor Bay now. They've pulled a couple kids from tier 1. They didn't graduate a single kid last year, so they're going to be a very good team again this year. On the other side from us, Dakota, they were a good team last year, Chippewa Valley Unified. And they have they're like all of us, we have this nucleus of kids at the 07, 08 birth years, which are like junior, senior for the most part. All those kids are now upperclassmen. So we have a lot of schools, and I hate to forget everybody, because there's other good teams in our conference, but
sure,
off the top of my head, everyone will be competitive. We should be able to compete in our games, and I'm excited. We're all of us are looking excited for this year because I think that the quality of competition within the conference is probably as good as it's ever been. So it's a good thing.
As I say, you should be excited. You guys have improved every year since 2021. You had a nice year last year. Obviously, not as much luck as you wanted in the playoffs. You're returning your top 5 scorers. You're returning your core. You have some young guys. What's the next step for you guys this year? Where are your expectations, Coach?
That's a good one because I think last year, 2 years ago, we kind of made a surprise run in regional playoffs, and the kids, I felt, and this was a really challenge for us all last year, was like I think they felt they had arrived at the end of that year, and they didn't think that they had to put the work in. Like that, they thought that like okay, they made it, and so like getting them to like, hey, look, now you guys are the hunted now. You know what I mean? You have to be ready to play, and it took us 2 months to figure that out last year into the season. So the expectations now they're a little bit used to them. They're a team that our team, because of the success we've had the last couple of years and the nucleus of our kids being so young during that time, people expect us to be good and they expect us to do well. So you're going to get everyone's best shot now. You're not getting their backup goalie anymore. They're sending their guys at you. So, which is good. We want that kind of pressure. So like the expectation for us is like, this program hasn't won a regional championship since I think 2007. So like that has to happen for us in order to take any steps beyond that. And, we've been close, we've been competitive, but now it's time to like get over that hump. And then hopefully we can go on a run, beyond, the regional playoffs is what we're hoping for.
Nick Radjewski, a guy that's been around as the head coach, as Mike mentioned, St. Clair Shores Unified for many years now, a guy that's been around hockey for many years now. Nick, I always like to ask people from your vantage point, how big of a step has high school hockey taken? I tell people, forget about 35 years ago, forget about even 20 years ago. I just think in the last 10 years, I've watched it go like this. It hasn't been like one giant jump. I've just watched it go, whether it be talent, whether it be coaches, whether it be, the old cliche, everybody rowing together. From your vantage point, how have you watched this game grow?
It's night and day compared to what it was when I came on as an assistant coach, let alone as a head coach. Mm-hmm. Like the talent level, like I said, our talent level is going to be as high as we've ever had. coming into this year. And all it does for us is put us in position to be a contender. We are by no means a shoo-in. There are good teams. And then you look across, I look over in Oakland County. We're doing the summer league with some of the Oakland County teams. And, some of these guys are exceptional coaches. Clarkston, M1, Stony Creek, Lake Orion, like Nick Batter's coaching Lake Orion now. He coached the Romeo team, that kind of took that state championship run. I think it was 2014 when they won. And to compare the way that Romeo team was then with the talent they had, that's like across everybody has that kind of talent now. Like that run isn't really like that's unique in a sense because they were the first ones to pull the kids out of the school. And then they had so much success with that. Everyone followed. And so now we go everywhere in the state. It's a public school, and we play good teams in the Grand Rapids area, good teams up north, good teams in Alpena, Traverse City, Bay City, in non-traditional places. Everybody's good. And the product is so much better. And then you see now there's tier 1 coaches coming back to coach high school. I kind of equated the difference between coaching AAA and coaching high school is sort of the difference between coaching pro and coaching college. That's how I feel about it. It's a little bit longer view. Like we have more time to practice, more time to slow the pace down and just teach what we want to teach. Where like that AAA mindset is like game all the time. And I think because we have so much practice time at our product, our kids are improving at a faster rate. And as the coaches come in and they've worked with kids, and worked with their teams and their stability there for a while, you really start to see teams start to rise up and start to grow. And I think the product is awesome. Like if you come to everybody that I know that comes to high school games are like, I can't believe how good this is. I can't believe how fun this is here. Like the product is awesome. And I just wish more people got a chance to see it. So I think it's great.
That's our social life now, Nick. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Should we be ashamed of ourselves or should we be happy? Because like, I'm not joking. That's what we do. Like, we don't know what to do this time of year. It's like, all right, well, Tuesday night we have to go to Novi and then we're going to see CC and then we're going out to Brighton and then we're going down to Trenton. I mean, really, and based on what you just said, it's because it's become good hockey. It's become a good product with so many kids moving on now.
Sure. I think this time of year, a lot of kids, at least on our side of town, a lot of schools, they try to throw a wide net out there because we have this practice time with kids in the summer. So you're getting kids into the program that may or may not play for your team in the fall. And so like, we've always sort of done it this way. We want the tier 1 kids and tier 2 kids to come in and play to see that, hey, well, this is pretty good hockey. Come check it out. This isn't too bad. And as time has gone on, like it used to be such a clear difference between if you got a good tier 1 kid or a good even tier 2 kid that they could sort of dominate at these summer games. And now like they'll go 3-4 games without hitting the sheet because every team is a good team when they're full of good players. It's not that easy. And I think people's eyes are open when they see it. They're like, man, this is a lot harder than I thought. Because the other side is sort of, there's a lot of negative, I don't know, rumors or whatever you want to call them about the high school product. And I think when people actually see it, either as a player or watching it firsthand, I think they're always surprised at how good it is, at how good, the teams are that they play.
Yeah, we go back, and Sean knows this. Nick, you don't know me, so you don't know this, but all the way back in 2000, I was coaching at Grosse Pointe, and we did the Learn to Play program at the St. Clair Shores Arena, me and Scott Locke. So I know there's talent there. We always came up against you guys in the early 2000s, it seemed, in the regional playoffs. So the talent's there. Back in 2020, I read a quote from you saying that we have players out here on the east side. We just have to get them to play for us. With your recent success and this program that you're building, are you finding it easier to pull these kids in that might just have been 3 years ago skating with you just to get some ice time in the summer? Are you finding it easier to get these guys in now?
Yeah, 100%. Like I would say right now, there's not one kid in the school that we want that we don't have. We've been able to get to a point where if we want a kid to come and play for us, they want to, they're seeking us out. And what's sort of started to happen that I've noticed is as we started becoming a little bit better about that, the other teams in our area are doing a little bit better job of retaining their players too. So now and I'm not taking credit for that, but it sort of happened, organically at the same time, where everybody just started to sort of elevate. And then what started to change now is we used to lose a lot of kids in Macomb County to local private schools, and that is lessened considerably over the last 2 years, to the point where those schools have to cast a much wider net to fill their rosters out, where before they could just go pluck the best kids at the Shores, the best kids in Mount Clemens, the best kids at Suburban. Now those kids all want to play for their schools. And so that's a great thing, for like the good, strong public school teams, I think are like very important for the product to continue to grow. It can't just be the top 6-8 private schools all the time. Like people want a little bit of variety, and there's a lot of good public schools. And now finally here on the east side, where some of our teams are starting to get to a point where they can compete at that level. They wouldn't win a best of 7, but they can compete. They can get in there in a game and they have a chance to win one.
Isn't that? I mean, seriously, that's the routine in every level of hockey. What Nick just said. I mean, how many times, Mike, have we seen it where, Nick, as you said, you play a best of 7, maybe they win 4 games to 1. Okay.
Right.
But when you're talking about 51 minutes, when you're talking about one game, and
they're teenagers.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
How many times? Yep. How many times have we seen? You mentioned Romeo, and Mike. I don't know if you know this. I went and saw my cousin's team play Romeo. This was the year before they won, and I saw Logan Genuine and Nick Blankenberg, 2 guys that moved on. Nick all the way to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I remember I went on State Champ. Shout out to our buddy John Kidd, who's in the chat, and I said, hey, listen, I saw you better look out for this team. This is a dangerous team. It wasn't just those 2, but obviously they were headliners, and that's the way it works. And a year and a half later, they won a state championship. And Nick, to your point, I mean, people out there were old enough to know this. I don't know if people pay attention. There's a long and illustrious history of your areas, the shores, going all the way up, Anchor Bay. Heck of a lot of talent coming out of there. A heck of a lot of hockey players. And as you said, listen, I don't want to make this an anti this league or that league. I'm a pro high school league. And what I tell anybody is there is reason to go play for high schools now. Kids are moving on. There's a proven path. You're seeing scouts everywhere. And that's part of the beauty of your area. There are a lot of players out that way and a long and illustrious history.
It's funny you bring up Genuine and Blankenberg. Like they're at least as far as my coaching staff is concerned, those kids are legendary. We talk about them all the time. And every year that kids have come through the program, we have showed them those 2 kids specifically. Like, look, these 2 kids, they left Tier 1 to go play for their school, and look what they accomplished. And those kids are legends. And in their schools and their communities, everyone knows who they are. And obviously, Blanks took it even further, making it all the way to the NHL from this path, and which is credit to him. He's I don't know the kid personally, but like talking to his former coaches, like he's just a relentlessly hard worker, and he earned everything that he has to get there. But like we use them all the time. Like, look, these 2 kids, you can be those 2 kids here at Cinco Shores. You guys have the talent. Like if you guys decide you want to do this, this is a place for you to do that. Like I totally agree. And there's like across the board here on the east side, Lance Cruz, there's a ton of talent. Chippewa Valley is a sleeping giant. Dakota is one of the largest public schools in the state. And you look at the demographics of, the cost to play hockey and the amount of kids that are in that school. And when they get to the point where they're starting to pull the top, 5% on a regular basis, that's a very, very good team, public school level team. There's a ton of talent around here, and it's just great that, and a lot of those kids now they're coming back, you talk about Blankberg and Genuine, like coaching staffs have been sort of intact on the east side here for a while now.
Yeah.
So the alumni base is growing. Those kids come back to the program. So they're not just like, imaginary people. They're real people. They're there, and they get a chance to talk to the kids and work with them and see them. So the kids can see like he made it. He's there right now, So yeah, it's great that this is happening all across the board here on this side of town.
Well, talking about Genuine, Blankenberg, the big names, like I said, you're returning your top 5 scorers. Outside of those guys, let's give some love out there. I asked this to Coach Mitchell last week, and he balked on me. He didn't answer. Let's see if I can get an answer here. Who's the guy that no one's heard of that's on your roster that you really think could take a jump next year?
There's a couple kids that stand out to me off the top of my head. Like obviously our top 5 returning guys, like they're, I think at least on our side of town, they're sort of known quantities. But Gavin Snarsky, he came to us 2 years ago. I've never coached a kid who's improved more than Gavin has in the time he's been here. It's like his confidence, like he's an extremely intelligent player. He was never a hockey first guy. He was, he played other sports, so he didn't do a lot in the summer. And now his focus is becoming more hockey. And you see as his confidence grows, like he can play in any situation, on any line, and anything you ask him to do. You want him to check, he'll check. If you need to put him on a scoring line, he can do it. If you need him to kill penalties, he'll do it. He doesn't complain. He just shows up and he works. I think Gavin could have a really good year. We lost Austin Brown. He graduated from us last year. He was big. He was a big, strong, stay-at-home, physical defenseman. We don't really have that on the roster this year. That's a component that we don't have. But Nate Carruthers was Austin's partner all year last year. And Nathan, kind of took to that physical style. And he's our most consistently physical player. And like just watching him through spring and summer, like his confidence level is high right now. So that's the thing that excites me about our team. And then to bring in our incoming 9th and 10th graders, there's really, really good players. And then for the first time in a long time, at least actually the first time ever since I've been here, we have really good synergy with the Hockey Association. So the 09 birth years, who are our new kids on the team coming up now, their head coach last year is now on our staff, and he does our off-ice work and our conditioning. So the types of practices that we're running are very similar to what they're doing. So these kids can jump in and play. There's no, they know the systems, they know what they need to do, and they just jump in and they can contribute. So, we're excited. We can go 4 lines deep. Let's go. We'll play you however you want to do it.
The dog's fired up about it.
Yeah, you hear him?
See, we're all dog lovers, so it's like I love hearing from the dog. Let's
I know, right? If it was up to my wife, I'd have 10 more dogs and 10 more cats.
Mike's a recent dog lover. We'll have to delve into that story sometime. Nick Radjewski, of course, the head coach at St. Clair Shores Unified. Nick, I've talked to so many guys and guys that I know that have played at big levels. And, I always use my buddy Mark Beaufet, who, eventually played for the U.S. Olympic team and went and played for the San Jose Sharks. And it's funny because, again, I don't want to diss any other league. I'm all about promoting the game, but so often, and I'll use both words, you tell a young kid, hey, man, if you come here, you play in front of your peers, you play in front of a huge crowd, you play where there are going to be some cameras there, whether it be state champs, whatever the case may be. And you're probably going to get line 1, PP1, PK1 time. It's such a no-brainer to me. I get it. There are some guys that are special that, should go take off here or there. But so often I see kids go play at a place that they shouldn't play. What would you tell a young player? Would you repeat something like both said? What would you tell a young player that's saying, coach, I don't know if this is the right jump for me? What would be your pitch to them?
This is a corny line, we use with the kids all the time, but they call it play hockey, not work hockey. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to want to come to the rink. And the thing that we stress more than anything amongst the coaches here is we want the kids to want to love coming to the rink. And if they want to love coming to the rink, then it's easy to teach them. And so it took me a little while to figure this out. We used to think that if I can show the kids hey, you can make juniors, you can make college, you can go here. If I could show them those things, that would be the reason that they would come and play. In reality, that's really not it. It's the culture and the environment you put around them. So now our home games, it's a student anthem singer. The band is playing, the stands are packed. That's what they want. They want to play in front of their friends. They want to play in front of people. They want to play in big games. And that's what we're trying to sell them out. You come here, and if you play to your abilities, people are going to want to watch you play at the highest levels, and you can move up. In the meantime, you will have more fun playing hockey here. For however much time you have left, you're going to look back on this and say, this is my favorite team I ever played on. And I think that is for us, now that we have brothers of kids and neighbors of older kids, that word of mouth is why we're getting a lot of the kids in here, because the environment's fun. They love to be at the rink. They're treated fairly. We work them, but we want them just to love coming, And so that's what we would sell them on. You want to have fun playing hockey, come here. We're going to make it a blast for you.
So you used the word culture, and it was perfect timing. Our producer Blake threw up a question here for us, and it fits right in with culture. What are some of the challenges you deal with, maybe the culture in the locker room and such, being a unified team when all the kids aren't at one school versus when you have all the kids at one school?
That's for the longest time, we didn't have our own locker room at the rink. And so when you have 20 players, at the high school level, they didn't fit in one locker room. So not only have 2 schools, but we have 2 locker rooms. They're getting dressed for practice, or they're crammed in like sardines at a game. That was such a problem. How do you break the cliques up? They're coming straight from school. Coaches are coming straight from work. We're not really able to put assigned seating in the way we would in a locker room. So now that we've gotten our own locker room, that's like the first thing is like, that's a big help. We can put kids where we want to put them, sit next to where we want to, we sit, who we want them to sit next to. But the biggest thing for the culture is it's the off-ice stuff that we do like almost on a weekly basis. Once we get into the fall, like we have stuff going on for the kids to have fun together, whether it's like paintball. I have a cousin who he owns a jiu-jitsu gym on this side of town, and we'll send the kids there and they just love beating the crap out of each other for an hour or two, you know? But like the more stuff like that we do when they're just together and they're having fun and they enjoy each other's company, like that solves a lot of the culture stuff. I feel like, you know, if it feels like a job, you know, like people start getting resentful a little bit, but when they're looking forward to like coming to do fun stuff, it's easier to sort of like work egos, I feel, you know, to get them on the team on board with what the team needs.
Nick Radjewski, again, kindly joining us, the head coach at St. Clair Shores Unified. Can't thank our friends with the Michigan High School Coaches Association for doing this. We're going to be doing it all summer long and into the fall, taking you all the way up to the new season, which really isn't that far away. Which it was I know it's crazy. So what are you guys doing? There are leagues that pop up all over the place. Nick, is your team involved in some stuff? What does the summer months look like for you guys?
Yeah, we do a couple showcases. There's a couple showcases on this side of town. One Dakota puts on every year for Anthony Mastronardi. He was a player that was paralyzed in the game. He actually is a kid I coached in Pee Wees before he went on to high school. So that one's real personal to us. Like as long as they're going to put that showcase on, we'll participate in it. Fair State does one at the end of the month, which is awesome. I probably shouldn't even say it. It's kind of the best kept secret. I feel like I love that event. And then we're playing in a league over in Royal Oak with some Catholic school teams and a lot of Oakland County teams. So aside from the games, the kids are lifting a couple days a week and they have one on ice skate. So we're trying to keep them like, this is time of year to get stronger, you know, like trying to stay out of the rink as much as we can, but just enough to keep them busy, you know?
So sticking onto that, the summer stuff offhand, Nick, do you know, are any of your guys coming out to the Brighton area for the MDHL league? I don't know if I've caught any of your guys out there, but I live right down the street from the rink. I catch all these games and I'll be keeping an eye out. Do you know if any of these guys are coming out?
I got about 6 or 8 that we advised to register and try out. I mean, you know, I think that MDHL is one of the best tools that we have, especially to get the better players involved, because it's a sort of a best on best fall. You know, the way that they put their all-star teams together, it gives those tier 1 kids a chance to play in the exact same tier 1 tournaments they would have been in anyways. So get out there and do that. But at the same time, we don't want to dilute it and just send the whole team out there. So we're pretty strategic as far as who we think should go. And when we send 6 to 8 players out there at that level, with tell them in advance, it's difficult. Tryouts are hard, but we think that you're good enough to compete there. You should go there and check it out. So yes, we should have, you know, hopefully at least 6 of those kids are going to participate, right. You know, so that's what we're hoping for.
There is nothing like it. I'm telling you, Nick, if you want to come out and watch some of it, like going out there first thing on a Sunday morning, you know, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and watching the boys hit the ice. It's fantastic. It could be 88 degrees outside. I don't care. I'm inside the barn and I'm watching these guys do what they do. Nick, I'm going to steal Mike's thunder. Mike is the guy that always asks this question. So it's going to be, no, I'm going to steal it this time. Okay. Right. Nick, you've been around the game for a long time. If you could change something with the way things are run, if there was something that you would like to see added in regards to this level of play, what might it be?
I holding it to one thing is hard. But if there was one thing, I know this is not really a high school thing. Like I think the MHSAA and the Coaches Association, they've done a phenomenal job of like at the beginning of the interview, we talked about the strides and the quality of competition that we made. Yeah. But the one thing that I really wish that we would embrace here in Michigan is the community-based model that they do in Minnesota.
100%.
Like I think that would do so many good things for the kids in the programs. I know that they're trying to do split season with tier 2, but it's kind of a mess. Like we had kids do it for a couple of years and we're not allowing it this year. It's just too much. But I think if it was community, like they're the dogs, see, they don't like it.
They agree. They agree.
They're on board.
That's the one thing I wish that we would have here, where like the tier 1, like they stopped in November the same way they do it in Minnesota and let the best kids go play for their schools. I think that is awesome. That's the one thing I would change if I could do it.
Also, as we were getting ready for the show, we talked a little about scheduling and the difficulties of scheduling. What are your couple of your marquee games, our must-see games that me and Sean have to get out there and watch?
Yeah, we actually have this is probably the best schedule that we've been able to put together this year, and part of it comes from, it takes a little while for like the better teams to trust that they want a competitive game. So they want to be able to trust that if they put you on the schedule, it's not going to be something 2 periods or anything like that. So it's taking a little time, but like offhand locally, we have De La Salle at home, our second home game of the year. We're going up to the Alpena scrimmage. We'll see those guys early on. Traverse City Central, Traverse City West in January. And then we get Reese Puffer and Mona Shores in December out there in Muskegon. So those are, and then probably Liggett at home are probably our 6 toughest that I would say. But actually, I think Forest Hills Northeast is coming down as well, too. There's another good team that we have on the schedule this year. So.
That's, it's funny you mentioned some of those guys. I mean, my buddy Rosie, obviously, with DLS. So you're going to have to let me know when that game is. But let's not forget Coach Bissett, former Red Wing with Forest Hills NE, and our old buddy Kevin Zaschek.
Yes, absolutely. He's back. But I was thinking now the Traverse City games, is that during their showcase up there? Or is that a separate weekend you're going to be playing?
Unfortunately, no, it's a separate weekend. And we try to get in the showcase, but they have so many people that want to get in there. And so they had some openings. So we thought we'll go up there early and hopefully, we can make a good impression and get in the showcase next year. But we were fortunate we got both of them, on Friday, Saturday. So we're excited about that.
Excellent.
It is. I'll tell you what, Nick, one of the coolest things, and I say this all the time on the State Champ Show, to watch so many of these showcases pop up. And I've been to your neck of the woods and seen what you guys do, what the conference does. And Mike and I had a chance to go up to Traverse City last year. I mean, there's the granddaddy of them all. We all know what it is. It's the Trenton Showcase. But having these, whether it be in Gaylord, whether it be in Traverse City, whether it be in Mount Clemens, you can't put a price tag on this. And I tell these kids all the time, just because you don't think you see a scout doesn't mean that a scout isn't watching. And I'm not even talking about in person, whether it be live barn, whether it be watching via tape. That's the one thing I don't think these guys know. When you get these many teams together, those many players together, those scouts are watching, Nick.
That's 100%. And that's one of the advantages I think of our product more than anything is because, I use them as an example. I live in the Lance Crew School District, and their coach, John Nader, and I were teammates growing up, known him for, 30 years now. I want him to get the best kids to play for his team. And if a scout asks me about players on our team, and I know he's got one, I will 100 times out of 100 mention that kid's name. And I think across the state, all of us want the same thing. We want the product to be good. And if they see kids who are good enough to play, whether they're in a different school or a different county or not, they will share that information with scouts. And you guys know scouts talk, coaches talk. And so it doesn't take long for the word to get out about either a player or a team. And these kids have eyes on them on a constant basis, which I don't think they appreciate or they understand, but they're there all the time. And especially at these higher profile showcases, it's 100% of the time, those stands are full of scouts. There's no question about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we say it all the time. I mean, you never know. Any game that the scouts are traveling, they don't have you on their schedule, but if they're there and they're playing, they're going to be there and they're going to watch you.
That's another thing, too. Just access to schedules is one advantage that we have over the other level. Is the hub is great. So for a scout who's making a trip down, if you want to see certain teams, that's at his fingertips, stats and schedules, and it's hard to find at the tier 1 level because a lot of that stuff stays private or blocked off or closed, and it's hard to see if you don't go to the big tournaments, when people are playing each other.
Well, Nick, you have I'm overdue. I haven't been out in a couple of years. You have my word. I'm going to drag him with me. We're going to make a trek out to your side of the woods. I love going over there. You're familiar with that rink, and
there's a pub right down the street. I can't think of the name of it, but they have.
Hey, listen, guys, I know a few of them. We'll go
a pizza tray of nachos. We used to get it, so we get some good nachos.
Which one is that, Nick? Did you know the pizza tray?
I can get you there, but my memory. I'm not going to be able to know the name of it.
I'm actually interested in what that one is too, because I'm not sure if I've had the pizza tray nachos yet.
All right. Anything else before we let Nick go?
Look at that. For the first time in any show, I asked every question.
Attaboy.
Boom.
Attaboy. Nick, continued success. You guys, as Mike mentioned, and we mentioned very early, it's great to see not only the product go like this, but what you guys are doing go like this as well. And you guys getting some kids. Like I said, be sure to let us know when that schedule comes out, and we're going to come check you out. A lot of good hockey being played. I think the MAC opened some eyes last year. You know, you saw our buddy Staskowski's kid had a very good year.
Cam's good player.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Romeo, remember Romeo, that goaltender? You saw him up close and personal. My goodness,
he
gracious,
gave CC everything that they could handle in that game. They didn't pull away till late in that third period. He was a good goalie, and I've seen him at junior camps.
Certainly the Lakers are doing a bit of that as well. Say hi to everybody, buddy. Look forward.
Likewise.
The
Shore's in.
Oh, the Shore's in.
The Shore's in.
Are you familiar, Nick? Are you familiar with that?
Sadly, yes.
More familiar with it when we come out and see you guys. Hey, all the best, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for everything you guys do. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right. Nick Radjewski kindly joining us. He's my cousin, full disclosure, but it's been fun. So you know that story, true story. And by the way, Eric said, what are you grilling this weekend? Oof. Mike, plug yours. You're not going to like this. A tri-tip and wings. I haven't done a tri-tip in a long time, so it's. Like,
are you reverse searing it? How are you doing?
I am. Okay. Yes, that's that. So that's a true story. I went out and I saw them play Romeo and Stevenson play. So that must have been 14-15 season. And I called our mutual friend, Coach Mitchell, and I said, these guys, I'm telling you, like they're like absolutely legitimate. And then wouldn't you know it, a year later, they went and played Stevenson for the title, and Romeo got the job done. But I'm telling you what, there's a heck of a lot of talent out there. And Mike, the most important thing is these kids are starting to go and stay home, as opposed to, going here or going there. And I always promise myself, and I know you, I'm never going to bag on any other brand of hockey. I'm just not going to do it. What I am going to do is do my best to properly let people know how great of a product this is. MHSAA hockey, you're being noticed. Guys are moving on, the proven path, all that. And that's my mission, is to talk about what a great product this is in the great city of Michigan.
And to be more specific, what we just had on today, some East Side teams.
Right.
And you brought up that Romeo team with two guys that played at a high level, one playing in the NHL, of course. We don't want to miss those guys.
No.
And they're out there. I wasn't kidding when I said there was always kids out on that East Side when I was coaching out there. They're there right now. That Romeo team we played, that goalie's playing junior hockey. Someone's going to pick him up. He is legit. Every year that CC had gone out, and I was obviously out there as a dad, and we played those East Side teams. Was it Lance Cruz? There are players out there. And getting a team like CC out there, hopefully that makes them a little bit more angrier in that school, and some more kids come out to want to beat the big bad monster, right? But there are kids that are out there, and they've got to be put on that map, and we don't want to miss. We don't want the next Blankenberg to be in the NHL and him to never be showcased.
Yeah.
So we've got to get these East Side teams out there, and I'm glad that the teams are starting to schedule them.
I am not going to name any names, but I say this every show, and here's my opportunity to do it now. I cannot tell you how many times a parent, and more specifically a player, came up to me and said, Mr. Belegian, and I always say the same thing, drop the Mr. Belegian stuff. That's my father. I'm just Sean. Oh, Sean, you know what? Thanks for everything. I don't do anything. I'm telling your stories. I wish I did this my whole career. And that's exactly, then what I always tell them is, you want to do me a favor? Go tell all the young kids you know.
Absolutely.
That's if you want to do me a favor, go tell all the young kids you know about the great experience that you had. And if you had a chance to do it over, you would have gone and played for a guy like Coach Radjewski or Coach LaRose at De La Salle, whatever the case may be. And that's I think that's the best thing, is to spread the word on how truly special this is, and let some people know about the proven path as well.
Yep. And that is why every time we have these players on that are coming back from NCAA hockey, we have them say, look into the camera. and tell these kids why they should be playing for their school, be it Stevenson, be it Trenton, be it St. Clair Shores, all the teams that we've had on, Marquette, whatever it is. You guys tell them. They are our voices. They need to get that out there. And when these kids, I don't care where you play, be it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, wherever, when you see a kid like that coming back home and saying you should be playing high school hockey and this is why it was the best time of my life, and that is what every one of them have said.
100%.
And they were so glad they did that. And that got them where? NCAA hockey.
Yep.
You can do it.
That's exactly it. So Blake said, come out to my hood. Blake, you're more than welcome to join us. Shores Inn, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
I'm almost positive that's what it is. It's Shoresy. It's a little dark bar, I remember. And I used to get the nachos and it would come like on a pizza platter. Again, this is early 2000s. Times have changed, but it was good.
Lots of meat, cheese.
Oh God, yes.
Jalapenos.
And see something like black olives, all kinds of stuff.
Is it the melted cheese?
Yes. No. It's shredded then melted, not the queso
creamy
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Which I can't trust anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, again, many thanks to Nick Radjewski. Many thanks to Blake and Todd behind the scenes. Many thanks to you as well. I believe next week we have a special edition. We're going back to Wednesday, and my goodness, if I could remember off the top of my head, usually it's my memory that does this. But Mike, do you remember off the top of our head?
I don't remember. Of course, I don't remember. I take notes on everything that you told me.
I know. We have. Oh, I believe it's Jason Reynolds from the Red Stallions next week. I believe Jason Reynolds, and then we're going to be talking to our boys from Houghton, and then we're hopefully talking to the guys from Brighton, and then Nagani and our bud Nagani and our bud Jimmy Young is going to be joining us as well to give a little UP perspective. So that takes us into mid-August, and after that we'll schedule some more. But for everybody involved, I'm Sean Belegian. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week. And again, big shout out to our friends with the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. See you later.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Belegian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Belegian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.